Hey everyone! So at the beginning of the video I showed you a little picture, and the picture is what we will be creating today. It is the pumpkin doll, and it's been created by Jess Davies, also known as CraftLover17 on Instagram. I don't quite have mine done yet, so as soon as you see this video you'll see part 2 and you will see what the finished look is. But for now you'll get the idea. I will be showing you how to create the arms, the legs, the body, the skirt, and the hat. For the hat, I am going to show you how to make the little leaves, and I will be using my loom. That's optional. Jess found a little ornamental leaf that she attached there. Super cute, but I don't have one, so I'll be showing you how to do that. These are the supplies that you're going to need for these pieces. For the skin tone bands, I'm going to be using them on the arms. If you don't have that much skin tone bands, just go down a little bit more using the body color. So that's just another option, and when we get to that part I'll be showing you. So supplies for these pieces, you're going to need 35 green beads on your orange bands if you're choosing the same color as me, and that's for the body. So these are the tiny little E beads that I'll be using, and 10 green, this is the neon green, 10 neon green with green beads for the skirt. So I am going to get started, and I do hope you enjoy. The first thing we're going to do is prepare our beads on our bands. So you're going to need 35 of the orange, or whatever color that you're using for the body. The orange, I'm going to use green because green is going to match my contrast color. Then for the skirt part, we're going to need 10 bands with the green beads. So that's for the skirt, and this is for the body. Now to do this, most of you already know how to thread these, but just in case, all you're going to do is take your string. You can use a fishing string. This is the plastic one to make beaded bracelets that I got at the craft store. So you're just going to put your band through one of the sides of the string, and then grab both ends. So I have the band on the string inside. Then you take two ends and put them together, and put your two ends together and put it through the hole of the bead and slide it down to the center of the band. And then remove your string so that it's on. So you can go ahead and prepare your beads just like that. Now we're going to do the arms, and I'm just going to give you the option. There are 10 rounds to the arm. Jess went up until round 7 with the skin color. If you multiply that by 2, it's 84 skin tone bands used here. So I'm going to give you the option. You can use less, as many rows as you want. So up until round 7 is using skin tone bands. On this one, it's just showing you, I kind of gave her a longer sleeve and just did 2 rounds with the skin tone. You could even just do the first round and then change to the orange. When you do change the orange, I will be just grabbing the inside loops only. So you can see I just grabbed the inside when I change to the orange. So that's up to you on when you want to stop with the skin tone bands, but I'll be following exactly what Jess did. So I'm going to start off with, I'm going to need this hook. I'm going to start off with 5 single crochets in the magic ring. Now using the bottom part of my loom, never mind the leaf, I'm going to take my first band and wrap it around the bottom peg 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. Now taking 5 single bands, you're going to bring them through one at a time. So reach in, bring your band through, and on your hook and the top loop over. Bring it to the side and go back in for your second band. Bring your top 2 loops over now and bring it to the side. And just continue 3 more times. Top 2, and attach your stitch marker to the band that's around your hook and remove off the loom. We're going to move our bands around, and you should have the 5 stitches. So now for round 2, what we're going to do is increase on the first chain, and then 4 single crochets until you get to your stitch marker. So bringing 2 bands through, 1 and 2. And now you have 4 chains left, just add 1 band in each. Remove your stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook. Now for rounds 3 to round 7, I'll be using the skin color and just doing 6 single crochets. So it will turn out like this. If you do want to change the color to the orange, you want to do so now or whenever you'd like. You're just grabbing the inside loops only to change to orange, all the way around instead of grabbing the chain, just for this round. So when I switched colors, I only grabbed the inside loops only. So I'm going to continue off making mine just like this, and I'm going to do round 3 with you, and then you're going to pause the video and come back to me when you're done. So if you want to just go in your first chain, not where it's getting pulled, and bring your first band through and just do 6 single crochets around. The next chain. And the last one. And you can remove your stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook. I'm not using the stitch marker because my bands are nicely organized and it's just so small. So you can pause the video now and come back to me when you're done. For rounds 8, 9, and 10, we're changing the color to the orange, or I'm going to change it. And I'm just grabbing the inside loop only for rounds 8. Rounds 9 and 10, you're just doing 6 single crochets. So this is where you should be with your stitch marker here if you want. I'm not using it. So I'm going to go to my next chain, not where it's getting pulled, and just grabbing the inside loops only. My first color, I'm bringing through both of the loops that are on my hook to change the color. I'm going to open it up and find the inside loop only of that chain and just doing a normal crochet. Going to the next one, inside loop, 3 more chains to go. Open it up so you don't skip a stitch. And the last one. So now I'm going to start round 9. Don't go in your little slip knot. When you change the color, go through your chain and do 6 single crochets. You can see. And now for round 10, I'm going to go in just the same thing, 6 single crochets. In your last band, do a slip knot to tie it closed, and then we'll add 2 sewing bands. Now the last band, bring through all of the loops that are on your hook and tie it off. And now to add 2 sewing bands, I'm going to put my slip knot to the side and I'm going to go through both middle chains on either side and bring a band through and do a slip knot to tie it closed. And on the sides. So I'm even to this band over here. And this is what you should have. So you can pause the video and make yourself another. For the legs, I'm going to show you to do one, and then you're going to pause the video to make yourself another. I'm going to start off with a chain of 3. 1, 2, and 3. This first band can be any color band, just a random one, because we're going to end up cutting it. So I'm going to use this as my cap band, and I'm going to wrap it around my hook 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. And now make a chain of 3. So this is what you should have. Now you want to make a little slip stitch at the top here, and we're going to turn. Now it's very important which way you go when you're going to reverse. You want to make sure that you're grabbing the chain. So if you grab the sideways, you're not grabbing the chain. You want to open it up, hold the cap band like this, not like this, and you want to go in your top chain. So when you see, you can have the 2 orange loops right at the top. Now you want to bring 1 band through and do a single crochet. Now your top loop, you want to hold your cap band like this, and you're going to bring 4 bands through that 1 chain. So put your hook through, going through the top, and you'll see that the 2 orange loops are on the top of your hook. It has to be like this because as soon as you cut this cap band, if it's not like this, it will fall apart. So now we want to bring 4 bands through that same chain. So that's 1, go back in, 2, back in, 3, and 1 more back in. So now you just want to cut this. I'm going to break it. I don't have scissors in front of me. And it shouldn't have fallen apart. Now in your last chain, you're going to add 3 bands. Back in. And back in. Now you should have 10 chains on right now, 10 stitches around. You're going to count the top one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 is on your hook. Go ahead and attach a stitch marker to this band. For round 2, we're going to increase this round to 15 stitches. So we're going to start off with an increase, so 2 bands in your first chain, that top one, then 1 band in the next 2, so 2 single crochets. Then in your next 3 chains, you're going to do an increase. Then your next 3 chains, you're going to do a single crochet, 1 band, and then your last chain, you're going to add 2 bands, so that's your increase. So let's start off with our increase. Let's go in our first chain and add 2 bands. Back in. So I just did 2 stitches in that 1 chain. Now 1 band in the next 2 chains. Next chain. Now we're going to do 3 increases. So 1, 2, and 3. Those chains will have 2 bands in each. the next chain, back in, the next chain, and back in. So now I have 4 chains left, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I have 4 sections left. So do 3 single crochets, 2 and 3, and the last chain with 2 bands. Back in, you want to remove your stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook. For round 3, we're going to do 15 single crochets and grabbing the inside loops only. So I have 15 bands, and at the end of round 3, you should still have 15 stitches. So just going to your first inside loop only. We're creating now this is the base of her shoe, so now we're going to create the top part of her shoe. And bring your band through and on to the next inside loop. The next, all the way until you get to the stitch marker. You should have 15 stitches. Remove your stitch marker. For round 4, we're going to do 3 single crochets, 1, 1, 1, then followed by 3 invisible decreases. So I'm adding an extra band on each. Then we're going to do 6 single crochets. At the end of round 4, you're going to have 12 stitches. So let's go in our first 3 chains with 1 band. I drop my stitches. Now we're going to do 3 invisible decreases. So on our next 2 chains, you're going to do a slip stitch on both and leave it on your hook. The next chain, slip stitch. You should have 3 loops and then slide. You're going to repeat on the next 2 chains, slip stitch, the next chain, slip stitch, 3 loops and slide. And repeat one more time. Make sure you're not going in the same chain that you just went in or that you just used. Three loops and slide. Now you should have 6 chains left, so you're going to do 6 single crochets until you get to your stitch marker. Remove your stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook. For round 5, we're going to do 3 single crochets, 1 band in the first 3 chains, followed by an invisible decrease, and then 7 single crochets. So I'm going to go in my first 3 chains with 1 band. Don't start where it's getting pulled, and bring your bands through. The next. And now we're going to take the next 2 chains and stitch them together by doing the invisible decrease. So a slip stitch, leave it on your hook, the next chain, slip stitch, 3 loops and side. And then now just add 1 band in each chain until you get to your stitch marker. Remove your stitch marker. You should have 11 stitches. For round 6, what we're going to do is change the color. So we're going to start off with a slip stitch. We're going to do 11 single crochets and just grabbing the inside loops only. So going to my first chain, not where it's getting pulled, I'm just going to grab that inside loop only. So use the tip of your hook to grab it. Don't go through the whole chain, just the inside. And you're going to bring your band through both of these loops on your hook and slide. And you're going to do the same thing to each. If you need to, open it up and just grab the inside loops only. Just repeat until you get to the stitch marker. Inside loop. Inside loop. So you're just grabbing the one loop of the orange there. And the last one. So you should have 11 stitches. Remove your stitch marker and make sure you're not counting your little slip knot where you started when you change the color. This is the pattern for rounds 7 to round 16. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do round 7, 8, and start you off with round 9. Round 9 and round 13 will be the exact same thing. You'll be grabbing the inside loops only. Each pile I have 11 bands. So at the end of each round you should have 11 stitches. So let's go ahead and do round 7 and 8. So I'm going to start off in my first chain, not my slip knot, and bringing my band through. You're bringing 1 band through each chain until you get to the stitch marker. If you organize your bands for 11 bands in each pile, I don't think that you need to use the stitch marker, and I don't think I'm going to. But just keep going with 1 band in each. So there you go. You could use the stitch marker and attach it to the band that's around your hook, but I have everything organized, so I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to go in my next chain, not where it's getting pulled, and I'm just going to add 1 band to each chain. Now when you get to rounds 9, you're going to be grabbing the inside loop only, changing color, so you're going to bring your first band through both of your loops. So I didn't go through the chain, just grabbing the inside loop only. And you're going to do the exact same thing for round 13. Now I'm going to do round 9, so bring it through both of the loops on your hook and slide, and go around just with the inside loop. When you do change color, make sure you're doing a slip stitch. And when you change color, you don't want to go through your little slip knot. Make sure you're going through your chain. So to start you off from round 10, you're going to bring your band through all of the loops, grab the end and slide, and make sure you're going through each chain. You want to go all the way around. Do a 10, 11, 12. When you get to the orange, change color. So you want to do a slip stitch and only grab the inside loops only, just the insides. Then you're going to change color, do a slip stitch, and then single crochet in each band around. Now your last band, you're going to grab your last band, you want to do a slip knot to tie it closed. So just grabbing the last band, bring it through all of the loops, grab the end, and slide. So you can pause the video and come back to me when you're done. Now we're going to add some stuffing. And for the foot or the shoe and the leg, you don't want to add a lot. What I'm going to do is just take my stuffing and I'm just going to roll it so it's nice and together, kind of thing, like this. And I'm going to try to put it in with my finger, and I am going to use my hook to pull through to the bottom. So with my hook, I'm going to try to push down a little bit more. I'm going to use my hook, go through a little hole in the center, and pull some down through with my hook. I like to add the stuffing after only because it stops from overstuffing just a little bit. And then close this back up. Now with your hook, grab from the top and you want to just pull a little bit. Now I have a little bit too much in here because it's solid. We don't want it so hard. So I'm just going to take some out. I'm going to pull some back with my hook. And I'm just going to roll it. And what we're going to do is just fold the leg in half, push down, and then fix the bottom. This is how we want the legs. I'm just going to add a little bit more just to fill that top part. And you want to make sure both legs are even. Now with your hook, you're going to pull out some of the tension that we have here. So what you want to do is find the little orange little knot, loosen it up with your hook, just a couple in this area. And this little one, and I'm just going to do it to a couple of the green. Now we're on round 17, and I am going to stitch the legs together to create the body. I'm going to do 22 single crochets, so I'm going to use 20 bands. I have the same layout in all my other doll videos. What we're going to do is find our center placement where we're going to start first. Then I'll explain this. So I want you to fold the legs in half, put your legs together. Your slip knots might not be in the same spot as mine. These are the same legs, and you can see that my slip knots are not in the same. So yours may not be in the same as mine. You're going to take one of the legs here on the right, and you're going to fold it in half. You're going to find your stitch that's going to the side, and you're going to count 3 stitches to your left. So this stitch, you can see that my band is going sideways, and I'm going to count right beside 1, 2, and 3, and I'm going to put my hook through. Doing the same thing to the other leg, fold it in half, find your stitch that's going sideways, and count 3 stitches to the right now. So 1, 2, and 3. On either side of your slip knot is a chain. So right now I'm on my other side of my slip knot. This is my starting point. And I'm going to bring my first band through, and I'm going to start here. So I'm just going to bring that one through, and then I'll explain as I'm going through along. So I'm going to just bring my band through both of the chains and on my hook and slide. Now I'm going to go through the 2 chains above on either side of the legs. So there's one leg right above and the other leg. And this is my second band. I'm going to bring my band through both of my chains and on my hook and slide. Now I'm right here. So this is going to be this chain right above. So I've used this one, I'm going right above. So this is my third band. So my third stitch. Right beside it, this is 4. Next one, 5. Next, 6. Next, 7. Next, 8, 9, 10. I don't want to turn it so you get confused. I'm at the front of the legs. 10, 11, 12. Now I am going to turn. I just did 11 single crochets around. The 12th chain is the one that's not visible, so it's right directly in the center. It is a chain that's being pulled. I want you to grab a loop on one side at the top here and a loop at the bottom. So this was the only chain that's not visible. This is where some people get stuck. You have to grab the center. And this is the 12th band. Now 13 is right beside, so open it up. You're going to see the 13th chain. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, on the other side of my slip knot there, 19, 20, 21, and 22. You should have 22 stitches. Attach your stitch marker to this band that's around your hook. Now we're going to do round 18, and I'm going to do 9 single crochets and then an invisible decrease. 9 single crochets followed by an invisible decrease. So I'm changing the color to orange, and I'm going to start off with the slip stitch. And you want to go in the right band to start with, the right chain. So if you give it a tug, do not start where it's getting pulled. This little chain right beside it, that's where you're going to start. Bring your band through all of the loops and slide. Now, if you open it up, where you're going to go is your next chain right beside. So you're not going to go in this little chain, which is your band from before. You're not going to go in the center here, so go straight across. If you put it together, you're going to go straight across. This is chain 2. Now go 7 more times, 1 band in the next 7 chains. Now you're going to stitch these 2 together by doing invisible decrease, so go ahead and do a slip stitch in each. Three loops and slide. And you want to repeat this 1 more time. These 2 are you're going to stitch together your last 2 stitches, do a slip stitch, slip stitch, 3 loops and slide. And now you should have 20 stitches. Remove your stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook. From this round on, we're going to be adding the beads, and I'm going to be using 5. For round 19, we're going to do 20 single crochets, and I'm going to add the beads on chains 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Chains 8, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now on 12, 9, 10, 11, and 12. On 16, 13, 14, 15, and 16. And on the last one, on 20, 17, 18, 19, and 20. So these are your bead placements, chains 4, chains 8, 12, 16, and 20. So you're just adding 1 band to each chain around. When you're starting, don't start in your slip knot, start in your chain, and bring your band through. So you can just follow the placements of the beads. And the last one. So you should still have 20 stitches. Remove your stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook. For round 20, this one's going to be a little bit tricky for me to explain. I'm not quite sure how to say this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 3 single crochets followed by an invisible decrease. 3 single crochets followed by an invisible decrease, and I'm repeating that 4 times. Now the beads are going to go on chains 2, 5, 10, 13, and the last band 17. So if you were just to actually lay this out just like this, then you should just do that. So I'm going to do the first row, and I'm going to get started. I'm going to not go where the band is being pulled. I'm going to do the first 3. So 3 single crochets. So this is chain 1, chain 2, and chain 3. Now because I'm doing an invisible decrease, these are 2 bands and they're going to make up 1 chain. So this would be the 4th. So I'm going to do a slip stitch in each. Three loops and slide. So that's considered my 4th chain. Now I'm on my 5th, and that's going to be adding a bead. And now 2 more single crochets. Followed by your invisible decrease. And I'm just going to repeat the pattern again. So I think if you just follow the layout that I have, you should be good to go. And one more time. My last 2 chains, the invisible decrease, and my last band is with the bead. So now you should have 16 stitches. Remove your stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook. For round 21, all the way to round 25, you're just going to do 16 single crochets. Each round I'm going to go through just the beginning part to show you the bead placement. So each of the rounds has their own bead placement. You're just doing 16 single crochets. So I'm using 16 bands, and for round 21, the bead placement is going to be on chains 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15. So I'm just going to do parts of it with you just to start you off. So not where it's getting pulled. So if you just follow the little layout here, you should be good to go. If at any point in time you have questions, please do leave one in the comment section below, and I'll try my best to help you out. So I think you can just pause the video now and come back to me when you're done. For round 22, same thing, 16 single crochets. The bead placement for round 22 is going to be on chains 4, 7, 10, 13, and 16. So you're just going to go right through with 1 band in each chain. So I think you can pause the video now and come back to me when you're done. For round 23, same thing, 16 single crochets, and the bead placement is going to be on chains 2, 5, 8, 11, and 14. So just the same thing, one band in each chain. So I just did 5. And you can pause the video now and come back to me when you're done. For round 24, 16 single crochets. So the bead placement for round 24 is on chains 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15. So again, don't start where your band is being pulled and just go around following the layout. So I just did 5, and now you can pause the video and come back to me when you're done. Round 25, our last round of the body, and again 16 single crochets. For round 25, you're adding the beads on chains 4, 7, 10, 13, and 16. Your last band, you're going to do a slip knot to tie it closed. I'm going to do this whole round, so I'm going to start not where it's getting pulled and go through my first chain and bring my first band through. And then just continue all the way around. And the last one, slip knot. So bring it through all of the loops, grab the end and tie it off. And you can remove your stitch marker. Now we're going to do the skirt, and there's 3 rounds to the skirt. Our first round, what we're going to do is first we're going to go back to round 18 of the body. And round 18 is going to be somewhere at the back, so make sure the point of the shoes are facing the front, and we're at the back now. Round 18 is going to be this green stitch that you have here, or whatever contrast you used right here. I'm grabbing 2 little loops right here. So really it doesn't matter where you're grabbing, you just want to find an area. So if I'm grabbing here, my next stitch is going to be over here, if you can see that. Now we're going to do 40 stitches. I'm going to increase on every stitch around, and this is just going to be a little bit different. We're going to be making chains right now. So I have 80 bands here. In one stitch you're using 4 bands. So you can see in my pile that I have 4 bands. So if you wanted to lay that out, you can pause here just to get that going. So I'm going to go in my first chain, and I'm going to grab my first band and do a chain. Now we're going to take our second band and make a chain of 2 here. And then we're going to slide. We're going to go back in that same chain and just repeat. So you're going to make a chain of 2. 1 and 2. You can see it should look like this. And then you're going to just slide. So that was just repeating what I did on the first one and just slide through. So again, you want to go to the next band right beside it. So our next chain over and make a chain of 2. 1 and 2. And just slide, and you can slide right away under your other band. Now go back in that same chain and repeat. So I'm right beside where I went and make a chain of 2. 1 and 2. And slide. So you can just slide right under the 3 little loops there. So now you want to go to your next stitch over and repeat. It's the same thing all the way till you get right back to the end. And slide underneath. So you can slide under all 3 of these loops, or these other 2 loops here, and go back in that same chain to do another. Chain of 2 and slide. Now going to the next stitch over and just repeat. Chain of 2 and slide. Back in. So you can see in each chain I'm using 4 bands. And slide. Going to the next stitch over. Chain of 2 and slide. Go back in that same chain. And slide. So open it up, find your next chain over, and just repeat. Now this is going to be the last one that I do with you, and then you're going to pause the video, and you're just repeating until you get to the end. I will come back for my last section. So you can go ahead and continue just going around your next stitch, making sure that you're doing it twice in each stitch around. So I'm at the last stitch now, so I'm just going to go in and just do the last bit with you, and then we're going to add a stitch marker to the band that's around our hook when we're done. Now I'm going to attach the stitch marker. And this is what it looks like so far. For round 2, we're just going to do 40 single crochets, so adding 1 band to each chain around. When you're doing this, you have to make sure that you're opening it up to find your chains. So if you open it up, each one of these is your chain, and you're just doing a single crochet all the way to the end. I'm going to do about 10 stitches with you, and then you're going to pause the video and come back to me when you're done. Now you can see I have 40 bands here, 10, 20, 30, and 40. Then after this is just one more round. So open it up and you want to find your little stitches. So your first one is going to be a beautiful, you can see it's well visible, it's right there, not the side here. So go in, and probably each one that when you go around, you're going to have to open up the stitch just to see. So just do a single crochet. Open it up, and you're going to see like a space, and that's where you're going to go. So let's see, if I open it up, you can see there's my next chain. It's going to be really easy to skip a stitch here. Just try your best. Just means less bands. That's all. The effect will still look the same if you skip one or two. I know because I've done it. So open it up. And just normal crochet. Go through the stitch, grab your band underneath the chain, grab the end of your band and slide. And I'll come back for the last 2 bands. So pause the video now. So I'm at the last 2 stitches and I have 2 more chains left. So just doing a single crochet, and then I'm going to remove the stitch marker and add it to the band that's around my hook. So now just to remove it, and this is what it should look like. For round 3 of the skirt, I'm going to be adding the beads now. And you're just doing 40 single crochets around. So you're just adding the 1 band to each chain. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, all the way around. But we are going to add our beads to every 4th stitch. So ignore this part, I ran out of room, so I'm going to go this row, and then I'm going to continue over here. So all you're going to do is 3 stitches, 3 single crochets, and then your 4th chain adding a bead. 1, 1, 1 bead, 1, 1, 1 bead, 1, 1, 1 bead, all the way around until you get to the end. Your last one, you're going to do a slip stitch, or sorry, a slip knot to tie it closed. So I'm going to do a couple with you, and then I'm going to come back for the last one. So making sure that you're going in your chain. You're just bringing your bands through. So this is 1, the next chain, 2, the next chain, 3, and your 4th chain adding a bead. And just repeat. So I think that you could actually pause the video now and just continue with the pattern and come back to me. I'll come back around here. Now I'm at my last row, so I'm just going to move it up. And just so you can see how I end, just with a slip stitch, or sorry, again, a slip knot. A slip knot, you pull tight, and a slip stitch, you don't pull tight. Same way to do it, just one you pull, one you don't. And the last one. My mixing of words is just my mixing of words is just my nerves. So pull your last one through all the loops and grab the end and tie it off. And remove your stitch marker. I feel like I'm having fun all by myself here. And then you're just going to fix all the tension around. Now, if needed, what you want to do is, if you see some of your beads that are hiding away in here, you want to just pull the little tension and just pull your little beads out. See this little band that you have here right underneath the bead? With your hook. Even if you have like holes showing through, big holes, that's all you're doing is pulling the little knots out. Just relieving some of the tension, especially if the beads weren't right at the end, right at the center. And then you can fix up the legs and the tension area of this spot too by pulling at the beads. And then this little green band that you have going across here in the center, you can actually just tighten that by pulling in the other area. So here's where I usually pull, just to kind of get it into nice straight position. Now take a little bit of stuffing and you just want to fill the the top part of her body. And you don't want to use a lot. I used a lot on the witch doll, and what happened was her body just got so wide. So you can see my filling right through the stitches. So already I know I have too much. So you just want to squeeze her body in half here and remove what's coming out. Now I'm just going to hide this little band that's going on the skirt here. And I'm just going to go through some of the stitches and bring this band through. And one more stitch. Just to hide it. And her body's done. Now we're going to start off with her hat part, and it's the top part of the pumpkin. And I'm going to start off, excuse me, with 8 single crochets in the magic ring. So with our first band, I'm going to use the bottom part of our loom, and I'm going to wrap this around 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. And now you're pulling 8 bands through, 1 at a time. You're just reaching in, grab your first band to bring through on your hook and bring the top loop over. And go back in for your second band to bring through, and on your hook, 3 loops and bring the top 2 over. And make sure you're bringing it to the side. Back in, top 2 loops over, and just repeat. Attach your stitch marker to this band that's around your hook, and you can remove off the loom. You want to just move your bands around, making sure that they're nice and even and not overlapped. And this helps to stop a big hole when you are crocheting the doll together here. If you have it opened, you'll just have a gap when you're actually crocheting the finished part. For round 2, we're going to add 2 bands to each chain around. So 2, 2, 2, 2, all the way around. I have 16 bands here in total. So at the end of this round, you should have 16 stitches. So these 2 bands are going to go in your first chain. Go in, bring 1 at a time. So you're doing 8 increases. Back in, and you're going to just go to your next chain now with 2 bands. Back in, and repeat all the way until you get to the stitch marker. The next, so I have 4 chains left and I have 4 sections left. So you should have 16 stitches. Remove your stitch marker. For round 3, we're going to do 3 single crochets followed by an increase. So 1, 1, 1, 2. 1, 1, 1, 2. So you're just adding 2 bands to every 4th chain. You're repeating this pattern 4 times, and at the end of round 3, you're going to have 20 stitches. So I'm going to go on my first 3 chains with 1 band in each. So my 4th chain, adding 2 bands, back in, and just repeat 1, 1, 1, 2. Back in, and just continue until you get to the stitch marker. So you should have 20 stitches. Remove your stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook. For round 4, we're going to increase now on every 5th stitch. So you're going to do 4 single crochets followed by an increase. At the end of round 4, you're going to have 24 stitches. You're repeating this pattern 4 times. So I'm going to go on my first 4 chains, 1, 2, 3, and 4 with just 1 band. Don't go where it's being pulled. And it's pretty simple. You're just completing until you get to the stitch marker. On every 5th stitch, you're adding 2 bands. And repeat. And one more time. You should have 24 stitches. Remove your stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook. For rounds 5 and 6, you're just doing 24 single crochets. So each pile I have 24 bands. You're just adding one band to each, one, all the way around. Your last band, you're going to do a slip knot to tie it closed. Now I'm going to do a couple with you in round 5, and then you're going to pause the video and come back to me when you're done. So just going in each chain all the way around with one band. So I think now you can just pause the video and come back to me when you're done. Now at the end of round 6, you are just doing a slip knot with your last band to tie it off, and then you can remove your stitch marker. Now what I'm going to show you how to do is the stem. So for round 1 of the stem, we're using 8 bands, and I'm going to do 8 single crochets around the top magic circle. I am going to start at the back. So this is the back, and I'm going to find my magic circle, and I'm going to put my hook through, and I'm going to do 8 single crochets right around the magic circle. So I am using brown, so pick the color that you would like to use. This is actually a burgundy. So I'm just going to do a single crochet just right around, grabbing every stitch, so in between each one of my stitches around the magic ring. So opening it up and going to the next. And we're just crocheting. Just going to the next. When we started the first round of the orange, we used 8 stitches. So I'm just going to do 8 single crochets around. And one more. Now I'm going to attach a stitch marker around this band that's around my hook. And right now I'm going to close it off with round 2, so just like this. What I'm going to do is 4 invisible decreases. So I'm adding an extra band to each. My last band, I'm going to do a slip knot to tie it closed. So I'm just going to do a slip stitch in each chain. So in the first 2 chains, and then I'm going to slide. So there's my first chain. I went through, and I'm going to do a slip stitch and leave it on my hook. Going to the next chain, slip stitch, and leave it on my hook. When you have the 3 loops, then you want to slide. I'm going to do that the same to the next 2 chains, slip stitch and leave it on my hook. Next chain. My phone rang while I was filming, so I was here. I just did 2 invisible decreases. I have my 3 stitches, and then I'm going to slide. So I have 4 more chains left, and that's where I have to do. I'm going to go in my next chain and just doing a slip stitch. Leave it on my hook, and the next chain. And slide. And my last 2. And my last chain, this is the one that I want to bring my band through all of the loops and then tie it closed. And remove your stitch marker. Now you can just go through your bands, so through the bottom, and bring your slip knot through. Now I'm going to show you how to do the leaves. Jess used a little ornamental little leaf that she found. I'm going to show you how to do it with the loom bands, and this is just a smaller version of the leaf that I have on my channel, so it's up to you if you'd like to add this one on. I am going to do one with you. I already have one done. You could add one or you could add two, and I'd be using the neon color, green, so pick the color that you would like to use. To do the leaf, we're going to use 16 bands, and this is just an example of what it's going to look like. So I'm going to take my first band and just drop it down on the first peg at the top. Now my second band here, I'm going to go from the center down to the second peg on the left. And then just repeating on the other side. So from the center, top, down to the second peg on the right. Going down twice in the center. 1 and 2. We're going to close this off, so I'm going to go from the left down to the center, and then the right down to the center to close it off. Push your bands down. We're going to go once down on the left, once in the center, and once on the right. And close this off again. So from the left down to the center, and the right down to the center. Push your bands down. Now this band, I'm going to go from the left down to the fifth peg in the center. And repeating on the right. Now I have one spot left in the center. And my last band, I'm just going to wrap around the bottom peg 4 times. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now we're ready to loop up. So I'm just going to reach in at the bottom peg and find the top band, which is going to the center. Go back in and find your second band, which is going up to the right. And go back in one more time to find the last band, which is going up to your left. Now let's loop the middle. Top band is going to the right. Go back in. Next band is going up to the left. Back in one more time, and it's going up to the middle. Now let's loop on the left here. Reach in, grab that band, and it's going up. On the right, reach in. And now at the third peg in the center, you have 3 bands to loop. Your top band going up to the right. Your next is to the left, and your last is in the center. Now loop up on the left, reach in, and bring it up to the top. And your next on the right, and one more in the center. Now this band is our tying band, so you want to reach in, grab one end, bring it up, grab the other end, top loop over, and tie it off. And just remove off the loom, being careful. So there's the leaf. I'm just pulling at the end just to fix it up. Excuse me. So when you have two, all you're going to do is you want to reach in from the bottom, and you're going to come out, and you want to come out between. So I'm going through the center, and I'm going to come out of the stem part, find the back. So you don't want to be tying here and here. We're going to bring one of our ends, this band, through. So this is my top part, my bottom part of the leaf. It doesn't really matter. Just gonna have to fix after. Bring your band through. And you want to repeat on the other side. So going through the bottom, come out through the stem and bring your band through. Put these both on your hook. And now what I'm going to do is just going through some of these brown chains that you see from the stem. I'm going to go through a couple just to tighten the leaf part up. And you can use whatever color you want to do a slip knot. And I am going to just use an orange, doesn't matter, and just bring it through all of the bands just to secure it, and then you can fix that up.